focus on a couple verses this afternoon as sort of a way to focus on the significance of this day in our lives. These particular verses I want to focus on in my sermon this afternoon. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill the scripture, I am thirsty. A jar full of sour wine was standing there, so they put a sponge full of the wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. And when Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." And then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. It is finished. The frustration is over. Jesus has endured the torture, the shame, the mocking, the spitting, the throbbing pain, and ultimately the suffocation. This is not, however, a cry of surrender. This is no, I've done all I can, that's it. This is a victory cry. It is finished. The deed is done. Like the artist slapping the last bold stroke on the canvas. Like the mason scrubbing off the last brick with acid. Like the surgeon sewing up the last stitch. It is finished. No throwing in the towel here, brothers and sisters. Good triumphs over evil. Forgiveness outlasts fear. Light penetrates the darkness. Love outlasts death. In the middle of the 19th century, a group of leaders decided that if America were to be a mighty nation, the West would be united to the East by a transportation system called the Transcontinental Railroad. So they began to lay the track that would, like a gigantic wedding band of steel, unify in a marriage of commerce and communication the Atlantic with the Pacific. The project began in both the East and the West and moved toward a common meeting place. In 1869, the day arrived for the final spike to be driven into the finished lines of railroad track. A golden spike was made, and Leland Stanford lifted the sledgehammer to deliver the unifying blow. The telegraph operators waited with their fingers hovered above the keys that would signal the message to the world. History will not forget that Mr. Stanford, on his first try, swung and missed. He missed the spike. Everybody stood breathlessly waiting. Unperturbed, Stanford lifted the hammer again, and this time the spike was driven deeply and decisively. The East and the West were united. The telegraphs clicked for the message, just 4 letters. D-O-N-E. Done. Like a mighty blow, the hammer drove the spikes into our Lord's hands and feet. God and God's people were reunited forever. God has now finished the work that God began with us stubborn people so long ago. God was determined, having created us, having loved us in so many ways, to get back to us. And now God has. It is finished. Listen to this news, brothers and sisters. Listen, you dear, purpose-driven, upwardly mobile, goal-setting high achievers that you are. Christ has done what we could not do for ourselves. Because we could not get up to God, God climbed down to us, down on our level, and made the sweet swap on the cross to give us new life. God has accomplished what God began. It is finished. What now is to be done by us? Nothing. What now is to be done to confirm this truth this afternoon? Nothing. What are we supposed to do for God before the sun goes down today? Nothing is required for our salvation. It is finished. Did you miss Christ's word? It is finished. This is good news for us. The strife is o'er, the battle is done. Your debt and mine has been paid. It is finished. Thanks be to God.